Yo, what up, Oki? Might have to turn up my headset a little bit. There we go. Oki, can you let me know of the screen, how that looks? I may have to adjust it. I get all screwed up. So it looks a little weird. Igor, Musa, what's up? Sorry. I'm doing good. How does the screen look? Is it alright? I might have to adjust it. Screen looks good. Alright, thank you. It's probably not the best setting. I have to probably adjust it a little bit from what I can see. But hopefully you're all alright. Hopefully you can see why we don't trade the morning session of FOMC. You can trade before the open of FOMC, but you can't technically, at least as far as my rules ICT, as far as an agreement, not trading the open of FOMC that morning. It can get a little bit difficult. The range can be a lot more tight, a lot of seek and destroy profiles, things like that. So if you were trading this morning and you found it difficult, it's the reason why. To me, it's a pretty simple rule. I don't trade FOMC until the release of it, and particularly about 30 to about 40 minutes after the release. So Musa, Akbar, Oki, Igor, all of you have been with me. You all know that protocol is waiting for about 30 to 40 minutes after the release of FOMC. Usually it's a two-stage delivery. So if you guys don't mind, if you can like the video, I would appreciate it. But hopefully all those who have been with me, you are following that protocol today. I saw a couple of you weren't, but that's all right. If we look at NASDAQ and what we've done, I didn't live stream yesterday. I had a few things I had to get done. But as far as what we're doing in this week and where we're at, I mean, I would say overall this is a very interesting range that we're in, especially with Monday and the way we've dropped about 1,000 handles off of Monday. Then we're rolling into today with Fed rates. We're rolling in with FOMC. A lot of things can be at play here, and I think there's a very undecided area that we're in. If you look at the range that we're really trapped in between, which would be between this dealing range here, and it disappeared on me. It should still be somewhere. Maybe the lower time frames. There we go. We're stuck in between this range in here. We're sitting right about at the equilibrium of that range, right? So we have relative equal highs resting above us, relative equal lows that are resting beneath us. We had this large range day on Monday happen, and right in between this range, we're right about at the equilibrium. And we're about to release in about 2 minutes of FOMC. Again, don't be the person trying to trade before FOMC. I think this is very idiotic, especially with live funds. If you want to do a challenges, whatever, don't care. But especially with live funds, that's just a very stupid idea. I can't express it anymore. Before I go on, if you guys can get this to a 50 likes, I'd really, really appreciate it. But based off of where we're at in price, and if I had a gun to my head, I would put the gun to my head and say we're going to this liquidity void here. So what we've left open, that's what I would believe we're going to be traveling to today. Things could be different, of course, with FOMC. I'm going to take away a few of these things, but if you look at the dealing range and where we're at and what we're doing so far, we dropped down into a discount and basically into optimal trade entry with this imbalance, which is right here, and that's what we just dropped into prior to FOMC releasing. So I do believe overall this will be the target. unless something wicked happens with FOMC, which I'm not sitting here saying I know what's going to happen with FOMC. I don't. Just gun to my head scenario, that's what I would believe would be traded to. Liquidity voids rarely stay open for large periods of time. They're a very good area of interest to be traded to and closed in. And the way we've been trending later portions of Monday, Tuesday, and even today, I think we could travel up into that region. So we'll see. We're about to release in about 7 seconds or something. Again, FOMC is a two-stage delivery. We wait for about 30 to 40 minutes after to actually start looking for a setup or something like that. So hopefully that's clear. If we look at the lower time frames and what we've been doing, we've been traveling lower into a deeper discount basically all this morning. A lot of choppy consolidation. We're hovering around a new day opening gap, new week opening gap, excuse me. This is the first presented FEG from yesterday, which is there on the 15-minute chart. 5 minutes should be relatively, it might be lower. But this is yesterday's new day opening gap, which is down here. And if I look a little bit closer, it looks like we just came into this reclaimed inefficiency here. So we stabbed down into that 5-minute reclaimed buy side imbalance here. So looks like right off the opening of FOMC release, looks like we're dropping lower. And again, this is why you just don't trade before FOMC. I mean, if you're sitting here doing this and listening to me and you're still doing it, and let's just say, even if you're winning, I still would call you stupid. You know, it's just a heartfelt message. But my advice, especially if you haven't observed this before, is observe what we'll be doing today. Is about 30 to 40 minutes after the release, so right around 14:30 to 14:40 is when a second stage of delivery usually comes into the market with FOMC. So if you were aware of that, ICT has done plenty of live streams with FOMC, showcased it, and it's without a doubt probably one of the most consistent things I've seen within trading really is this FOMC two-stage delivery. I mean, it's almost on par every single time. But what I do believe is we will see higher prices out of today. That's just what I'm leaning towards. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I'll get a feel for it by the time we get into about the 30-minute marker. So we're at 33 likes. If you all could like the video if you haven't already, truly I'd appreciate it. What am I doing here? I gotta split screen this. So we'll put on some of these things, some fancy things, and we're just gonna sit and observe. We're not gonna do a whole lot. We're gonna sit here and observe the first 30 minutes or so. So hopefully y'all been good this week. Only live stream Monday, and then I was off yesterday. Ow. Last FOMC, QQQ, OTM puts went from 1 cent to 13.90. Yep. I just saw this floor trader from the 90s. I follow him. Pretty sure Fly, you follow him too. I forget his name on Twitter. Really experienced dude. Even though he doesn't trade our concepts, I really like to take advice from a lot of older like floor traders that have been in this for a long time. But he was saying how back in 2001, I think he lost $1.5 million on FOMC. So it goes to show, I mean, if somebody's advising you to be trading this, at least off of the open or before the open or release of this, I mean, I would say they're very stupid and inexperienced, but that's just me. So we're going to take a look at the 1 minute. We'll read that and get a feel for it. So this last close candle here, we dropped into it. Inside of that would be your inefficiency here. Thank you, Fly Pax Trader. Really good follow. Within that order block, inefficiency here. And looks like before the release, we stabbed up into the previous new week opening gap here. We've had a retracement away from it. So inefficiency was used. So from this dealing range high to low, got up an optimal trade entry, sold off. Overall, the bias for today would be looking for higher prices or seeking that, unless proven wrong. Again, I won't really have a feel for it until we get into about 30 minutes or so. And all this is meaningless to me. I mean, whatever it does, don't mean a whole lot. Ryanis, what's up? I probably see this every FOMC, but I always feel so good going into FOMC just because it's not the first thing when I wake up in the morning. I wish I could trade like this every day. I mean, I guess I could trade PM session, but what is your strategy based on? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Are you saying what concepts do I trade? Hit legs this morning, was dying. Yeah, that's always a brutal one. Yes, it's based off of ICT. What do you look? No, you're good, man. What are you looking for in higher time frames to confirm? Well, I wouldn't say to confirm, but to give me a bias. Again, the first thing you're always doing when you're sitting down, at least with these concepts, is you're trying to find a drawn liquidity, a reasoning why the market should move somewhere, right? So if we're looking at a top-down perspective, well, and the daily time frame, I wouldn't say it's very clear as far as the overall idea, but what I can gauge from it is the liquidity void that's sitting above us. Liquidity voids rarely stay open for a long period of time. How do I know that? Based off of experience in ICT himself. And the fact that the liquidity void is sitting above us, that would give me the idea that price may want to travel to this area here. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, what we've done here, we've dropped into this discount and into this bullish order block and into this inefficiency here. So from that dealing range low to high, we drop down into that discount. All right, hourly time frame, same thing. We drop down into this discount prior to FOMC and inside of this inefficiency. Those down close candles are your bullish order block. You see it on the 4-hour more clearly. So what am I doing? Well, that's showing that this leg on the hourly time frame, the 4-hour, is already inside of a discount. So on like a minute chart, 5-minute chart, you're starting to look for, anticipate movements higher, showing you shifts of market structures higher, and then obviously I plug in the model that I'm comfortable with in that moment of time. As far as the models that I trade, you're going to have to sit with me for a while to understand that. Again, I'm always looking at where is price going. You need to have a destination on your GPS to figure out, firstly, where you're going before you even look at a trade. I mean, models are just models, or a framework to the higher time frame is just a framework, but you need to have a destination. Why should price go to this area? Like, that's a pretty big draw in liquidity to me. Will it happen today? I have no idea. Could it stay open? It could possibly do that as well. It could stay open. We could keep going lower. That's why you have to wait for confirmation. I don't force it. And especially based off the rules that we have for FOMC, which is waiting 30 to 40 minutes after FOMC releases. We're only 9 minutes in. I can gauge better as far as what price should be doing, if it agrees with the things that I'm looking for. Hopefully that helps. If you're just tuning in, if you could like the video, I'd appreciate it. If you're new here, let me know. If you look at ES as well, it's diving a little bit lower than where NQ is, and it made it up a little bit inside of its liquidity void, where NQ has not yet reached into it. And you see how much anxiety and fear and all that you have. I used to do this years ago. I mean, when I first got into trading, is before major New Zealand trappers, you just put on a position, you just hope for the best. If you have a challenge account, whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to judge you. But if you're trading with real live funds and you're trying to really make a living out of this, that's not the way to do it. FOMC, NFP, CPI, anything like that, those three major ones, those are ones you should not be placing a position right before it releases, because this is honestly a really soft release. Sometimes it can travel hundreds of points one way or wick both ways, very unforgiving. But I'm interested to see right around that 30 mark again, about 20 minutes from now, start journaling and annotating what price is doing and seeing how it's reacting around that. You'll see a two-stage delivery, or else meaning you're going to see the first 30 minutes travel one way and then the rest of the session travel the other, or you see more volatility come in and there's a continuation off of the 30 minute almost every single time. I mean, those who have sat with me, we've seen it every single time. A huge indication as far as if I was to kind of throw away a bullish bias on IQ. I mean, ES could make a lower low in here, depending on what it wants to do. And if ES keeps traveling beneath that low yesterday at 9:30, then I may look at NQ and see it as the sixth sister. IRFA, I've seen some crazy FOMCs, that's why I just set them out. Yeah, you have to learn through experience. I mean, I can sit here and tell you that, but unless you've been burnt, you've lost a lot of money trying to trade them before they open, I mean, it's not worth it. I know some people that have a strategy, though, as far as like challenges, they'll do it before CPI, NFP. I mean, that's fine, whatever. I ain't gonna judge on challenges, but real live trading, no. What's sixth sister? That's a good question. Sixth sister is trading the other asset class between NQ and ES. Which one is basically lagging behind the other one? So if one is leading one, and you can see that, let's say NQ is lower, and you can see, or ES is lower, and you see NQ getting to the objectives that ES has reached into, but it's not yet there, then you're going to be wanting to trade that, vice versa for higher prices. I don't ever trade ES, I just use it as a divergence or strength of weakness indicator, reading price. What makes you go live on FOMC release instead of avoiding the whole day? Because there's actually some very clean moves. Again, listen to what I'm saying, after the two-stage delivery, after about 30 minutes of it, there's usually some really clean price action. Not all the time, and I understand if there isn't, then I'm not going to do anything with it. But I don't think you have to avoid the entire day. I've had some really kick-ass days on FOMC. Really, really clean. It's volatility. That's what I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of stale, stagnant markets. Again, if you just observe what I'm saying and observe about 15 minutes of what we're going to do and the rest of the day, you're going to see, oh, well, yeah, it's actually some decent price action. Not always, but I'd say about 75-80% of the time, FOMC is really, really clean in the afternoon. Jabbers, yeah. I mean, I'd say anywhere right around, like, you'll see it kick in. You'll physically see it within the market. Approximately 30, maybe 40 minutes. The press conference, yeah, I mean, that's typical. You make some templates. So we trade through, I mean, I have really no bias as far as first 30 minutes what we're going to do, but we could possibly trade down to this low. We're kind of breaking through the mean threshold of that down close candle, which would be your bullish shorter block. So we may travel into this low and into that new day opening gap. If we start really making some distance, we'll watch ES as well. Let's go over to ES real quick. Look at ES. ES is getting pretty near this low down here. And if you can see, it's kind of disrespecting anything on this bullish side, right? So this down close candle, the new day opening gap, we're starting to trade through it. So what could that indicate? Well, if I'm watching ES and I'm trying to trade NQ, well, if ES starts trading lower quickly and it starts making its way towards this low, then I'm looking at the idea of NQ and I can see NQ's trending lower as well. Then we're probably going to start looking for lower prices because it's no longer supporting that idea. Could ES make a low underneath this low, and would that be an SMT divergence? Well, maybe in the moment of time, but I don't believe that would hold because if ES was going to seek higher prices and potentially run up into that rest of that liquidity void, it should be willing to do it in here, and we can see right now it's really not doing so. So it would be an instance of really a six sister, because if you look at this low on IQ, it's way down here, so it's going to be lagging way behind where ES is, right? So we'll just see, again, whenever it hits 1430, 1440-ish, and if some things are panning out, then we'll look to take a setup if there's a model and things appear. And again, this is how, if you go into a session with a particular idea, of let's say higher prices like I was potentially looking at, but price is not giving you it, then I'm not just going to stick with it. I have to change what it's telling me. I have to be willing to say, okay, well, obviously it's not willing to do this. Here's the factors that support the idea of lower prices. This is the model I'm looking for to support that, and you execute it. So overall, I would like higher prices out of it, but what I like is not necessarily what it's going to do. Hey CJ, what up? Menu Films. I'm looking to buy a challenge. Should I buy a 25 or 50K account? That's up to you, brother. Whatever you're willing to lose as far as money. I don't know if you're thinking about Forex or at least indices or futures, but most futures are only 50K. I'd probably just go with 50, to be honest with you. I think that's probably the most suitable for most people, especially if you're just beginning. If you're just tuning in, if you could like the video, I'd appreciate it. We're only at 60 likes. Underneath this low here, ES has made a lower low, and NQ has failed to do so. So it is an SMT divergence there. Whether or not it ends up being valid, we're going to have to see here in a second. If you take just the body of that bullish order block there, make this pink or something. Got right in the mean threshold. It's a very deep discount. If I was reading the bear side of it, we have this inefficiency here. My funded best prices, same as 25K. Yeah, they're great. I mean, so far they haven't been great to me this month. This last month, I'm still waiting for my live account, man. It's very frustrating. It's the one thing that I've been very, very frustrated with them over this last month. It's nothing on my end. I've even confirmed it with the CEO, and he said they're having difficulty with TradeAbate on their end. So Fed paused rate height. Thought they would already pause. If you're just tuning in, if you could like the video, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, Musa. It is what it is. I mean, I'm pretty happy because this month has been pretty terrible. So I'm blessing in disguise, I guess. At least for me, it has not been very great to me. So I'm happy, I guess. I mean, I like the account. It's been a month. Musa, yeah. I just don't think they've had anybody. I think they're more confused on how somebody passed that. To be honest with you. So we're about 4 minutes till the 30 marker. Again, just make note of it. Put it in your journal. Almost definitely miss it. For those who've been with me for over a year, I mean, shit don't faze me. January is typically terrible price action. This has been really wicked. Really wicked price action for the month of January, especially what we had on NVIDIA on Monday. IRFA. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Mantis is in here, but Mantis got, I think he got like $5,000 on live count, but they're going to give me, I mean, I completed 3 150K, which is 30 $300 days, so that's 15 grand. I just don't think they've, I don't think they thought somebody was going to do that. See, Mantis, you got your funded account. I'm still sitting here. We got ours at like the same time. Wish they held mine. Yeah, this month has not been. It's been very unforgiving. It's been very unforgiving. What's the difference between live account and funded? Well, on the live account, I can withdraw at any point. I can withdraw the same day or the next day. I don't have any withdrawal restrictions. When I withdraw, it doesn't move my balance. I have no trailing drawdown. There's not like a huge difference, but I do like be able to withdraw whenever I want. Like, my idea with it is I'm going to start stacking some other accounts, but as we move into like February and March and stuff. But my idea with it is just simply to make, 1,000, maybe 1,500, $2,000 a month. Pay rent, pay bills with that. Like, that's the idea with it, right? I'm not looking to make $1 million out of it. If I can make an extra 500 to 1,000 a month off of it, that's half a rent, or that's full rent paid. Like, I'm gonna sit here and actually show, like, okay, this is how you pay bills, is what you do with it. This is how you stack other money. This is how you stack other accounts while you're doing it. People in this industry, I mean, especially with challenge accounts and things like that, I mean, I have a different mindset. I'm very, very risk adverse. There's some people that just go balls to the wall with challenge accounts and live accounts, and I mean, I see it all the time on Twitter. I mean, some dude just made $650,000 off of Top Step. I know that's never going to be me. Does that make me a shitty trader? I don't think so. That's just my personality. I just would never be able to run up an account like that and actually have the balls to do it. I think it's gambling, very much luck based. Some of it's strategy, but you know, I think a lot of people get psyoped under that. I mean, look at what ICT taught last year, man. I mean, he was even with his own son, the way he was teaching. I mean, it's just the way you should start out, or even with like any account, man. It's just to simply pay bills, or at least to take some relief off of you. You're not looking to make millions of dollars. It will come, but you have to be able to pay bills first and do things consistently. And even looking at other people on social media, I mean, that can like really FOMO you into like wanting to get there faster or do things faster, or think you're shittier. Man, I've seen people I've done this for 7 years. I've seen people trade ICT for 6 months and make way more money than I ever have. And not to say that was probably a lot of luck based, but I don't look at it and say, well, I just need to catch up. And no, I know what I'm doing. Slow, steady, keep building, focus on a strategy over money. Focus on yourself, focus on your psychology, the most important. I actually did, for those who know Jared Tindler, just a note, we're at the 30-minute marker. We'll see right around 40 what happens. Jared Tindler, he's the author of the book here, Mental Gaming Trading. He has a group you can join, which I did a free like trial. I just wanted to see how it was. But I saw a questionnaire or something, and he said he went to a psychology conference, and he asked all the traders, how many hours a week do you spend journaling on your psychology and all of that? And all of them stated, these are all people that are wanting to be successful or trying to make success out of this, and all of them said under 30 minutes a week. I mean, it's quite incredible. You should be aiming for at least an hour a day, like journaling, going through your emotions, whether you're including that time with pre-market warm-ups, doing cool downs after a market session, things like that. Again, look at this 30-minute marker and where we're at and what we're doing. We're starting to move higher. So this is already in line with what I've been thinking and suggesting. I want to see a little bit more time pass before I may interact with this. But yeah, it's very interesting that, I mean, even myself, I'm not gonna sit here and I'm brutally honest, I don't spend that 5 hours a week plus on my psychology. I mean, that's a lot of work, man. It's a shit ton of work. And after a trading session, you're usually exhausted, or you're really happy. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to review. The times you feel like you need to do your psychology is really when you're in the shits and you're not doing great. But when you're doing great, you don't feel like it's important, right? You're like, I don't need it. I don't need to, do the tedious journaling and going over my psychology and how well I'm performing or not performing. It's very difficult, man. That's the hardest part of all this. Man, you could do really, really well for so long and have that one day and blow it all, man. It's this game, you walk such a fucking fine line. What am I listening to? So we're starting to see some really nice movements higher. We'll see if something comes into fruition. I don't want to pick off this low in here. I want to see some more time possibly pass. We're digging up into this like 15-minute imbalance in here. Even though there's a buy-side imbalance here and we did make a movement higher, we have a long ways to go until my drawn liquidity is met. So I'm comfortable giving this time. I don't have to pick the lowest low. Giving this a little bit of time just because it had a displacement higher. I would like to see some movements higher out of this. If you look at your 15-minute, this could have just been a retracement into this inefficiency and into this order block. I need to start seeing some things to really confirm these higher prices. If you're just tuning in, if you like the video, I would appreciate it. Or if you haven't already, it takes 2 seconds. ESS, it is the liquidity void from Monday. So all the way up there. Will we reach into that today? I don't know. I doubt it. It's a large range to get there. But we could set it up to where we have this run higher today and tomorrow it reaches into it. And I really need to see some evidence of higher prices before I really want to interact with it. I'm not going to jump the gun and try to pick the lowest low in here. I don't need to do that. Browns, yes, most definitely. Working a job is essential, man. Like, essential. You're going to feel extremely stressed, bombarded with thoughts and insecurities and fears if this is your only source of income and you're relying on it. Trust me, I've done it once before and it's not fun. This is what I mean is, especially in very low, this is going to be hard to describe, but if you're trying to catch the low of every single move, man, you're going to get burnt a lot by these inefficiencies or by movements that just rapidly displace higher or lower. Allowing it to prove itself to you is very important. So since we collapsed beneath that, I would like to see if this turns into an inversion. And since this doesn't necessarily align with the bias I was coming into the session so far, I have to see, again, what would be the flip side? Where would price be trying to target? Again, we mentioned ES. If we were to go lower, we'd be paying close attention to that. And we'd be trading NQ as basically like the Six Sister, right? So within that inversion, there's it's technically a balanced price range, but small sell side imbalance there. I'm just not particularly really biased on lower prices, so it makes it difficult for me to even want to short that. It's just kind of where I'm at. And we're still not really at the 40 marker yet. I want to see right around 40 is when things may start to get clear. As I mentioned, this FOMC is not for the faint of heart. That's why I'm being very patient. Just not, even though there's models and efficiencies, it's a lot of it's patience kind of weeded out. Sorry. I mean, the narrative for me is really it's higher prices. It's very hard for me to want to short this. So that's why, even though there's inversion for value gap and a sell side imbalance, it's kind of eh. So we'll see if we get through this previous new week opening gap in here. But remember the higher time frames, remember where we're at on this hourly, how we're inside of this discount. Remember the drawn liquidity, the framework of today. Flipping through your time frames, you may not see me do it because I have multiple time frames, but flipping through your time frames is very important. I was going to say something. It's more or less hard to describe, but I mean, just looking at formations of the way price is printing is very important. This is nice energetic displacements so far. We do have SMT at the lows to support, even though some people may look at this and say, well, there's relative equal lows. Well, in an instance where there is SMT beneath us and the framework and narrative is higher prices, then you should not expect price to trade to that. You should expect to leave it open and feel comfortable with that. And some people may be freaking out, it's moving without me, I need to get into it. Well, I'm letting it prove itself, and this is good evidence that it wants to seek higher prices, right? Where else were you supposed to enter into here? You're supposed to enter in at this low? I didn't know it was going to immediately turn. But again, if you've been here since the beginning of the live stream, pay attention to what we're talking about. 30 to 40 minute marker. Where do things start to really get energetic? About 30 to 40 minutes, right? Right around that sweet spot. Look at what price has been doing. Really a lot more energetic movement than we had off the release. This could be a breakaway gap. Price could retrace into this and use it to expand away from it as well. When do you see large expansions in price? Right? When do you see that? Well, on the lower time frames, will you see that when you're inside of higher time frame discounts? Look at where we're at in the hourly, the 4 hour. So we'll just do this. Put this back on. So got triggered there. We'll see if this inefficiency plus the new week opening gap can support this to higher prices. Nikki, yeah. So since we're inside of this inefficiency and within the new week opening gap, that makes it a little bit more probable inefficiency to work with, but we'll see. Stream bit rate is low. Interesting. So above us we have this sell side imbalance, previous new week opening gap. I just want to see the reaction away from this, and that'll gauge where I really want to hold targets to and stuff like that. So we could reduce the stop to there. Since we moved away from it, we've already utilized it. Probably shouldn't really come back down into it. Let's take a look at ES in here. ES, same thing, higher prices. So I want to make note of this because we're moving a lot in terms of handles. Like there's a ton of risk in here. Your risk should not be, you should be matching the amount of risk in terms of money. You should not have a regular risk on size. Like if we're moving in like smaller ranges, you shouldn't have like normal size contracts. Because in here, I mean, 50 handles that's a lot. That's a lot in normal conditions, but like if I was trading real live money, my risk would be reduced by a shit ton to the point where 50 handles is probably about 20, if that makes sense. Visited the first presented FEG. I really don't want to see this come back into this inefficiency. It can work the top end of the new week opening gap, but I really would like to see an expansion away from this. We have returned into this sell side imbalance in here. And even in the 15-minute sell side imbalance. So I just want to scroll over here. Doesn't look like any inefficiencies there. Nikki took a short off the first FEG, passed an eval. Nice, man. So there's an inefficiency on the 5 minute. That's right there. I'd rather see that left open. So some may ask, like, well, why would I not anticipate a deeper retracement since this is technically in a premium CJ from the stealing range high or low to high? Well, the new week opening gap is a really good example of that, is where since this inefficiency is within the new week opening gap and there's really none beneath price, this should be a breakaway gap. I shouldn't expect it. Excuse the motorcycle. We should not expect it to trade all the way down there. You should see the new week opening gap respected and this inefficiency respected. And you should see an expansion away from that, right? If price is also in a hurry to get somewhere, it's spooling towards something, a draw on liquidity, a magnet, then you should also not anticipate very deep retracements. And you have volatility behind you, which is Fomc. That's another thing, right? If we get above this first presented FEG, that's where my stops are going to be moved to break even, because we've already worked this inefficiency a few times and we've worked this new week opening gap again. It should really start to get some legs higher. Jafar, yes, you're correct. I'm listening to AC/DC right now. Down close candle there, you can consider that your bullish order block. It doesn't want to? No, just be patient with it. It's not going to be a sudden reaction, Jafar. We've been through these before. Sometimes price takes a little bit. You got a smooth talker. And if it doesn't, I mean, at this point with this entry and what we've done, I would consider this a break-even position. We are taking a bit of time in here. Do I still believe we'll see higher prices? Yes. But since logically, not emotionally, we've already worked this inefficiency. We've already worked the top end of that new week opening gap. So since it's already kind of utilized that a few times and we moved away from it, it should start to seek higher prices out of here. Otherwise, this thing could collapse. I'm not saying it will. But in these instances, if somebody is, I guess, not seasoned, sometimes this is normal. If you have a large delivery price may hang around an area for a little bit and then we could see the expansion again. Remember, you have to submit to the trade idea and submit to the higher time frames and what you have laid out. If it doesn't work, then it is what it is. I mean, all this thinking sometimes just ruins us as traders. We think too much. Think. You can't think yourself, into profitability at times. It just follow the things that are set for you, and you have the stop loss to take profit for the reason and leave it. I mean, that was the best execution I could have possibly have done, and so far we managed it great. Very honest, as I mentioned before, since we've already worked this inefficiency, and since we've already worked the top end of that new week opening gap, it's kind of showed, it's so far, that would be the last kind of time I'm willing to give it. It's also spent a whole bunch of time in here. So it needs to start kind of working its way higher. You can also time your positions. I mean, not always, but especially in a low resistance liquidity run signature, you can start timing it. If it's taken a whole bunch of time, like an astronomical amount of time, then yes. Because there's no reason for price to revisit this. That's really the idea you have to have in your mind. Like, what is the idea behind price revisiting this area? Not a whole lot. It can reclaim it again, but yeah. So I'll probably get stopped out of break even, and that's perfectly fine. For FOMC, I mean, it's fine. If I had to reverse it, I don't know how much time is left in the day. Paper trading, yeah, I still don't have my credentials to my live account, so. But the same thing I would take on a live account anyways. That's exactly how I would manage it and do it. There's no difference. Because kind of at this point, what I'm looking at, especially at a 15-minute as well, is there's a break even. Is this an efficiency here on the 15-minute? So we could have retraced into there. At this point, though, what I'm looking at is the clock, and I'm looking at how much time we have left. I guess we have about an hour left. So, Nikki, yeah, it's been about a month now. I've been waiting for my live account. So it is what it is, Let's say, just I saw somebody put that in the chat. When we stabbed into this 5-minute, when I see this reaction, then guess what? I can re-enter it in the market. It's no big deal. We got above this sell side imbalance. I bet somebody will be like, you should have left your stop loss. Yes, but rules are rules. Based off of experience, what I've seen, it's the best option I could have done. Another case, another day, I wouldn't have moved my stop to break even. I would have stopped me out, and then people would have said you should have moved your stop to break even. Not that any of you are saying that, I know you're not, but these are obviously thoughts that we have within our own minds as well. Anything you see within chats are things that people say to themselves. I'm a little weary of the 15-minute, if I had to be honest, but we'll see in here. There's a 15-minute. this is going to be hard to describe, and sometimes this is very subjective, but something like this where it's one large candle like this, I mean, can you just anticipate, like, for me being realistic, is like I just don't see price just sprinting off like that. So we'll see. It may want to create an inefficiency on the 15-minute, may want to get into that, may not. You could take this bullish order block here, but it's, yeah. Did ICT take any trade? I don't know. So if we leave this, that's where I'll kind of pan down at these lower time frames and start to get a feel. We're just really struggling to do anything as far as higher. I mean, we'd have to probably start leaving this shortly. And we hit, what, 3 o'clock already. Again, this 15-minute created that inefficiency. I'm also looking at the clock and I'm saying, well, how much time do I have left for a potential move to be completed? It's not a whole lot of time. But something like this on FOMC, I mean, even if you're able to take a partial off there, or even just a break even, that's a win to me. Market on close, no. Yes, and I know the reason you just said that is because ICT just posted a video over it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. People, I know plenty of people who trade it. I don't. I know it very well. I've traded it. ICT has so many things that I don't think he does it on purpose, but he dangles a lot of things in front of a lot of students that they jump from one thing to the other. It's, stick with one time session if you can, one model, and just trade it, man. One asset class, one account, and build consistency. I'll give this maybe 5 more minutes. I may be off. I mean, it was pretty uneventful FOMC, if I had to be honest. Very uneventful. And we had this expansion higher, and that was really it. But overall, the only thing you should get from it is basically the 30 to 40 minute marker, observing that and seeing right when that steps in that little time window there. Look at right in that time window. Price starts doing what? It starts getting volatile. It starts putting a lot of volatility into the market. And that's what we always observe, at least with my other group last year. I mean, ICT has stated this. He's taught this. Even being like stop to break even and trying to re-enter into the market, I'm not trying to jump into it right away either. I'm also trying to be very patient with it. I know it's a hard feeling to fight because you feel like it's injustice, especially like being stopped to break even by a little bit, or you get stopped out by a little bit. It's very injustice, and you just say, screw it, I just want to go right back in the market. But that's really not enough information just for me. Like I'd rather have a shittier or higher entry than I had before than jumping back in the market getting stopped out. Like I could have entered into this, got stopped out. It would have just been, you know, would have been worse feeling. And that comes down to a lot of emotional control. Unprofitable trader. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. I think that might be it for me. I really don't want to push in this hour. To be honest with you, I don't know. You have to also think, again, when you get to these later portions of the PM, is like, if you only have an hour left in time, I mean, you have to look at the hourly chart and go, well, where will this end up? And it may not do a whole lot. To short this, I don't have a particular, I was never short today. I was never looking for shorts. Only thing that I could see is to short into a discount, but I don't really want to do that either. I'd rather just stick on one side, and I don't think it's going to expand higher today. Overall, I mean, it may, and if it does, it is what it is, but I'm not going to push beyond that. So I think that may be it. I mean, I appreciate everybody tuning in today. I enjoyed the PM session a little bit more, just because I feel a little bit more alert and awake. May make this a little bit more common. We'll see. I just didn't know the viewership would be on it, so it looks like we're holding a healthy 200. Yeah, good tape reading session. I enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys learned a couple things. So that's going to be it for today. I'll be back tonight with a daily log. I'll put that out there. And if we do go higher today, just observe that. That is what it is. So I'll see y'all tomorrow, okay? Peace out.